What I want to do today is take a story that we went with last week, but I want to go a completely different way on that. Go back to Acts 1:23. I would say check in your hand up. You don't have one, so look up on the screen. And they accordingly proposed or nominated two men, Joseph called Barsabbas, who was surnamed Justus, and Matthias. Then they prayed, Lord, you know everyone's heart. Show us which of these two you have chosen to take over the apostolic ministry, which Judas left to go where he belongs. Then they cast lots, and the lot fell to Matthias, so he was added to the 11 apostles. Two guys, one gets the job. Now, last week we talked about how they did this was casting lots. And we say that's kind of like flipping a coin, which of course we don't do now because we have the Holy Spirit. But it was so funny this weekend, Rob and I were, this deal he's putting together, like he thinks we should do it this one way and I think we should do it another way. And so I said, hey, we just read about casting lots, let's flip a coin. Your heads, I'm tails. It goes my way if I get tails. Flip the coin, it was tails, yes. Okay, but here's the problem with that. I felt sorry for him because I'm like, yeah, I'm not really sure that was God. So we'll do 3 out of 5, you know how we did that last week, okay. Neither one of us won that. So that's why Jesus says, nope, we don't do that way anymore. But here's the deal. Matthias got the job. I want you to imagine if you were there and you were one of the two, and they picked the other girl instead of you. How would you feel? Would you feel like I'm just not good enough, and I'm just not spiritual enough, and you know, it's just not fair. God just really likes Matthias more than he likes me. And see, I think what happens is when something happens like that, we start feeling rejection. And a lot of you get that. You know exactly how it feels. You were rejected at 4, your dad left you. You didn't get that promotion, but someone else did. Your boyfriend finds someone he likes better. Your husband decides he wants a younger wife. And so this whole idea of rejection, I'm overlooked, I'm not good enough, just completely sets in. Now, I'm going to tell you my little story about my rejection in my life. It's really stupid compared to most people's rejection, but at this time in my life, it was very bad. Here's my deal. When I was in high school, all I ever wanted to do was to be a pom-pom girl. Okay? Yep. Pretty sure you've heard this story before, but I brought props this time to show you how important this was to me, okay? So, we started at Greenway High School, and in Greenway, it was a freshman and sophomore year. It was a brand new high school, so there was not that many kids. So how hard would it be to make the top 12 dancing girls in Greenway at this point? Freshmen and sophomores, not even juniors and seniors are there. So I'm trying out. And I thought it was pretty good, so whatever. Anyway, apparently I got a little cocky, and they said, you need to make up a 2-minute dance. And so I said, oh, I don't really want to make it up and memorize it. I'm just going to wing it. And I'm just going to dance my little hard way in there. Unfortunately, it was about 1 minute and 40 seconds, okay, which kind of, so that night when they put the roster up, guess who did not make it? That would be me, okay. Now, as dumb as that sounds, I felt completely rejected. I was so heartbroken, like all I wanted to do was be a bomb girl. How hard is that, God, really? Okay, so there we go. Now, year 2, my sophomore year, I decided that I would try out again. By this time, I know all the pom-pom girls. I know all the teachers who are going to be judges. Like, I'm kind of a shoo-in because we just know I'm going to make the pom squad. Now, we were so sure of it that this is how they did it back then. They came and kidnapped you. So if you made the team, they would drive by, jump out with balloons or whatever, knock on the door, yay, you made it. We were so sure I was going to make it that one of the other pom-pom girls that actually was a pom-pom girl spent the night at my house. We just thought we'd alleviate one extra stop for them, okay? The problem is that when they came to the door, my poor sweet mother answered it and they said, Lori made the team and Lisa didn't. I know, you should feel sorry for me. I was hoping you'd say, aw, thank you, okay? Yeah, it was kind of a sad thing. It was really sad, but okay, there you go. So, junior year, woo! Get a load of my picture. Okay, isn't that terrifying? Serious. I told David when I sent that to him, I said, do not even think of laughing at this picture, okay? A couple things I noticed. Hey, what was the hair, honestly? And not only that, I had a waist back then. I'm like, wow, I didn't even have to have Spanx to get a waist. So yeah, that's kind of sad. But by junior year, I made the team. Now, when you make a team, yeah, thank you very much. When you make a team, when you have pom-poms in your hand, the really cool part about this is that, when you do this, you have 24 palms doing this, and when you do this. Okay, so you are going to see the very last dance I ever do in my life. I'm going to make you watch this for 18 seconds, okay? And I'm going to show you what happened. We're in Prescott. First time I ever dance in my life, in the middle of this football field. Terrified. All right, David, let's go. Maybe. This is so awkward, I can't even tell you. Okay, wait a second. Hang on, you're supposed to smile. That's what happened. That is what happened to me. And I'm like standing there, and I'm like, and I didn't know what to do. It was horrible. Oh my gosh. Okay, so look, when I ordered these in, look what they do now. And I think it's because of me. They put these on here. So now you can do that. So if I tried, it wouldn't come off. I think I'm the reason they did that, okay? I did something wonderful for the Pom Squad. So anyway, that was my most embarrassing moment. I thought it was until I remembered my most embarrassing moment, which I told you before. A football player asked me for a pencil. Do you remember this? And I'm walking into class, and I reach into my purse, and instead of pulling out a pencil, I pull out a tampon, okay? A wooden carved tampon, really thin one. And I put it in my hand to hand it to him, and he's like, yeah, okay, whoop, that's my life. The more I thought about it, I thought I had a horrible childhood. All right. Whew. All right, here's the deal. When we get, you can take that picture down, David. That is terrifying. I just had to prove to you that I really made it. Here's the deal. When we get rejected, the problem, serious, David. Okay, when we get rejected, this is how the world looks at it. The world looks at it completely different than God looks at it. The world looks at it like you're a failure, you're just not smart enough, you're not talented enough, you're not good enough, you don't make enough money, like whatever it is, and you feel rejected. But here's what I want you to know as a follower of Jesus. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Now for Barsabbas, I want you to think about his life. This was not 12 people picking a pom-pom squad. This was the God of the universe making a choice between two people, and it wasn't him. And I wonder how he felt about it, but here's what the deal is. I think he was fine about it. Somehow he went on in his life following Jesus. It didn't even faze him. And church history has it that he actually died a martyr many, many, many years later for Jesus. And so when God said no to Barabbas, here's what we did not see. I need to go into therapy. I need to go take his counselor. I've been so rejected. Like, he didn't do any of that. And somehow I think that's kind of a lesson for us. Now, I'm not against counseling, and so don't hear me with that. But what I'm saying is that what we see in this story is that he pressed forward. He said, nothing's going to stop me. If God doesn't want me to be an apostle, he clearly has a really, really good reason for that. And so the world says you're a failure. God says, no. I just am moving you. I want you at a different place. And sometimes he uses rejection as the avenue to get you to that place. Now, I thought about boxes. Here's our picture of lots of boxes. I don't know what made me think about this. I was thinking about Amazon's shipping center. I can't even imagine what that looks like. I want you to pretend that you are a box. And inside of your box is your story, something that you have to tell other people about your life. And I want you to think that every one of those boxes gets put on a conveyor belt and sent somewhere all over the world. And I want you to know that God has taken you and your story, and he's put you in the state you are, in the neighborhood you are, and the golf club where you are, and the football team where you are, whatever it is, he's conveyor belted you there because he wants to use you in that specific place. Look at John 17:18. Just as you sent me, Jesus is saying to the Father, into the world, I have sent them into the world. See, you and I have a job to go out, whatever it is, whether you're in the fashion industry or the printing industry or the whatever industry, your job is to be a light in that particular area where God needs us. And so rejection doesn't mean failure. Most of the time, it just means God is rerouting you, putting you on another conveyor belt, and sending you someplace completely different. It's not about rejection. The world says you're rejected. God says, no, 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 I'm moving you. Now, here's what I want to say about my little pom-pom thing. I do not believe that I would be standing up here doing this if I would have made the Pom Squad my freshman and sophomore year. And the reason for it is because it was such a young school. Campus Crusade for Christ came on that campus. And I was able to get involved in Bible studies and pour my life into the things of God to learn and grow so that when I did make it as a junior, hopefully I could have some kind of influence over other people at that time. So I look back at those 2 years and say, God, what seemed like rejection at that time was actually not rejection at all. It was just me moving to a different place so God could use me eventually better. So that's what happens when you feel rejected by God or you feel rejected by a person. Instead of looking at it negatively, like, oh, everybody hates me, it's not fair, God hates me. No, you hold your head up and you say, you know what? I don't like where I'm going, but I'll tell you what, God is doing something. Every one of these people, and you and I have that choice to take our boxes and do something with it or do something destructive. So, I am going to introduce you to my adorable son, Sean, okay? He is going to come up. I asked him the other day if he would come up and actually, I said, can I share your story? And then I thought, I'll let him share his own story. So, he is going to come up. This is Sean. He is, hi. He is my adorable.
My blood pressure is like.
Your blood pressure's high?
Oh my gosh, it's probably outrageous right now.
Through. So you don't want to come and do our announcements each week?
You look so pretty.
Oh, hon.
You do. Jeez.
Oh, what a cute son. He just wants me to take him to lunch afterwards. Oh, can you go to lunch afterwards? Okay, so I wanted him to come and tell you his story about rejection because you had kind of a tough last few years, so have at it.
I was married for 9 years. I got married when I was 23. And about, it was 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago, my life came totally crashing down. My wife came to me one day. We were separated for a while. I moved back into the house, and she came to me one day and she said, I can't do this anymore. I thought she meant like, can't eat dinner or something. But she said, I'm out of here. And she walked out the door, and I remember that moment as like devastated. And you talked about rejection, and what was rejecting about it was my biggest fear in life is someone not loving me. And when the person you love the most tells you that they don't love you anymore is pretty hurtful. So.
And she had, and I think what even makes it harder for you probably is because you stood by her. She wanted to become a doctor, and so this whole time she was going to school to become a doctor and do all of these kind of things, which is awesome. And then in the meantime, you ended up not working for our company any longer, and you started working. So you have this whole thing of now your whole life is changing because you now have a new job. So how did in your rejection part, not only with her, how did you feel? Did you feel like, I don't make enough money. Are things that you didn't feel like? What part was felt rejected?
Yeah. So my ex was she was going to school to be a doctor, and so she was in school, and I worked, and I took care of her while she was going through all that. Then she became a doctor, and she became this great, successful doctor. I had left the company and wanted to do some other things, and I remember. I was on a commission-only structure, so I wasn't making any money at all. But it was that time where I wanted to do something, and I wanted to have a shot at trying something new. And it was only about a year or two when she was making really good money, and I wasn't making any money at all, that she was like, "Well, wait, this is mine, and
right.
You're not good enough, and peace out." So.
Right. So you can feel the rejection of that whole thing. Now, let's talk about what you did with your rejection to give your mother gray hair. This is why I have to color my hair, okay?
So I had divorced, I had moved out. Actually, interesting, I was married for 9 years, exactly 9 years. The judge signed our divorce papers on our 9th anniversary, which is kind of, the odds that's 1 in 365, I think the math. So I had deeply gotten into just some bad stuff. I got way into prescription painkillers.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way into prescription painkillers. I just didn't care. I didn't care about anyone. I didn't care about really living.
Yeah. And see, I think that's what rejection does. I think when you feel so rejected and you feel like nobody wants me, nobody loves me, I think that's a step that you can take. You can go to drugs, you can go to alcohol, you can go to pornography, you can go whatever it is that you want to go to kind of just numb that pain. And yet that's what I want to show you is that with Barsabbas, he didn't do that. He just put God in the equation. Now, the coolest thing is you talked to a pastor, and he said the coolest thing to you. What did he say?
Yeah, I met with a gentleman named Rustin Rossello. He's a pastor out of Scottsdale Bible. And I sat down with him, and I was not in a good place. And he knew it by looking at me. And he said, Sean, you have two choices. He goes, you will be dead soon, or you can take a path that you can make some changes in your life. And God is big. He'll do great things for you. And you're either going to be dead, or you're going to be sitting across from someone a year from now sharing the same exact story that I'm sharing with you.
And what happened since then?
It was a couple months after that. I was still making bad decisions, and I woke up one day, and I remember just being in bed, and I remember thinking,
my mother wants to beat me to death?
Yes.
Okay, that was probably what he thought.
but I remember thinking my ex had gotten the best of me. And at that moment, my younger brother Mike had called me, and I said, I'm done, man. I can't do this anymore. I'm hurt, and I don't know what to do. And so when I was on the prescription meds, if some of you know, you can get really sick just by stopping taking them. So I went to a detox center for about 5 days, safely, medically, got off of everything, and haven't taken anything since.
And then what happened just recently?
Yeah. I met the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
Stand up, Miss Trish. This is my new daughter-in-law. I think we have a picture of their wedding up there too. I don't know, David, if you want. There you go. There they are. And then now, what else do you do? What he did is he took his whole crazy life, and then he started going to church, and he started giving, and he started giving away his life. And now you teach a small group.
Yeah, my wife and I, we teach a small group for the Trinity Church out in Scottsdale, and we teach it at our house on Monday nights. And yeah, we love it, and God is good. Yeah.
That's awesome. So see, there you go. One road, two roads. Anytime you're rejected, those are your options. So, honey, thank you for doing this. Absolutely. You are the best. I'll even take you out to lunch for that nice comment that you said. So there you go. When you are rejected, you have one of two choices. You can be mad at God, you can be mad at the person that ruined your life, you can just go on, or you can be like Barsabbas and look at God and say, you know what, God, I'm just going to believe that you are behind this and you're doing something different with my life. Isn't that a great way to live?